Do you need help pricing up modular retaining walls? Well, don't worry, Tobermore has a pricing tool that you can use free of charge on our website, and we're going to take you through it today. Hi, I'm Alex Wolf, I'm the head of retaining walls here at Tobermore. I run our retaining wall team, and our aim is to provide technical and commercial support, not only to our sales and specification staff, but also to our clients that are looking to value engineer and upscale their retaining wall sites. I'm going to take you through now our tender calculator, which is used by the majority of our groundworks contractors up and down the country. The tender calculator enables you, if you have obtained one of our Tobermore Secura Estimate documents, to take that information and input it directly into this calculator and incredibly quickly and, more importantly, very accurately obtain pricing point for the overall retaining wall package. Now, you will be able to obtain a lot of this information yourself as well, so don't worry if you don't have a TSE, and I'm going to talk you through the calculator now. So, first thing you do once you have managed to register from our website is you will get access to your home screen. You can see that I have my portal set up as Bellway. Now, the reason we have that set up like this for you here is so that you can see that you can have it personalized, so that you can have your own logo set up onto the portal, so that when you're downloading any of your bill of quants at the end of the process, they will have your logos and your branding on them, okay? So once you're in this screen, you'll have access on the left-hand side to some amazing content from our Fast Find tool on our website, our Secura Create, which is more of a domestic estimating tool, and our YouTube channel and other pieces of content there. The main thing for you though will be the tender calculator. So we'll click that here on the left-hand side. So the first thing you'll see is all of the previous projects that you have worked on is all here recorded for you to go back into and edit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the previous versions as a starting point, just to cut down on some of the time for you here. So the first step is just to add in and include all of the project information. For this particular example here, we've got Persimmon South Midlands, the name of the project, the TSE reference if you have obtained one, and then what region in the country you're in. So very, very simple, just telling us what that project is. Now, the first main step for inputting the information into the tender calculator is all of the Tobermore materials. So you're going to have that information via two different sources. One, either our Tobermore Secura Estimate document or your material quotation that your local account manager is going to provide for you. You can see that you will input the square meterage of the blocks, the linear meterage of the copings. If you require any corners, double-sided end blocks coping kits, i.e. any kind of specialist units that you wish to use, they're not necessary, but they are optional for you. And indeed then the geogrid components. And you just fill in those costs there on the right-hand side that will be provided via your quotation. The last thing for you to input is just the rate for your installation of the labor. And we break that down into two parts for you. One is the installation of the blocks and one is the installation of the copings. Now, it's important for you to note that that's just the manual lifting and stacking of the block and the coping, and all of the backfilling and concrete, if that is the solution you're going to go with, is dealt with later on in the tool. Okay, so just for the stacking of the blocks. Once you've done that, we hit next steps and we move on to the aggregate phase. From here, you will input all of the aggregate requirements, and we try and cover off everything from the leveling pad or foundation all the way to the finished solution. So you'll input information for your leveling pad, your reinforced fill, your drainage aggregates, and also we've worked out your retained fill. Now, your retained fill is simply your safe working angle that you'll have to form beyond the geogrid or concrete zone. So either we provide you that information or you calculate it yourself, input it here into the tool along with the unit cost per cubic meter for the stone, aggregate, concrete, etc. Once you've infilled all of that information, simply hit next steps for the earthworks. Now, this is where the tool gets nice and clever because it wants you to tell it what your average cut and fill percentage is going to be across this development. Now, of course, it's going to be a lot easier to work this out if you're doing it on a wall-by-wall basis, but a lot of our groundworks contractors will actually use this across the entire project to just generate one quotation. Now, if this is a large housing site with many retaining walls, generally the cut and fill averages out around sort of 50%. And so the tool will default to 50%, as you can see here on the screen. Now, we also include a little information box. So if we click that, it will expand out and it will give you a graphic to show exactly what we're referring to for 100% fill, 100% cut, or indeed what that 50-50 looks like. When you're updating this number, and I'm going to show you here on the screen, if we just look down to the top line on the excavation box, you can see the excavate for reinforced zone is currently sitting at 1,951 cubic meters, and that's with a 50% cut. If I increase that cut percentage to 95%, you can see it increases to 3,707 cube. Alternatively, if I reduce it to 15% cut, it reduces our excavation down to 585 cubic meters. So basically, what the tool is doing by simply understanding the square meterage and the volumes of your aggregates, and you working out what your cut and fill percentage is, you now don't have to worry about what your bulk excavation volumes are, muck away volumes, any of that. The tool has taken care of all of that for you. So again, by obtaining the TSE or some basic quantities and some information on the retaining wall package, using this tool creates huge efficiencies for you as an estimator or as a quantity surveyor pricing up these retaining wall packages. So just for the sake of this, I'm going to reset it back to 50%. So that's what our cut and fill percentage does, and it helps remove work from yourselves. Then we want to add in all of our excavation information. So the tool will allow for a few items. So the first thing will be the bulk excavation, the movement or carting of the material to a stockpile, and then the compaction of the area that you have then excavated. And it allows that in two different areas. The first area is for the reinforced zone or the backfill area. And then the second area is for the trench, okay? And we allow that to be calculated in two separate areas. The last element within the excavation is just that safe working angle, the formation of that safe zone there. And for those 7 items, we actually only require 3 costs, which is one for bulk excavation, carting of the material, and the compaction of the base. When you put those 3 items in, it will pre-populate the items further down for you. Within the earthworks, we then need to worry about our backfilling. So we then need to put in a price for a 6-inch perforated land drain. And we also need to put in the price for the installation and compaction of our backfill material. It then also allows you to include a cost for some muck away. So if you're in an excess of fill on the site and you're having to cart material away, you can include the volume of material that is generated from our retaining wall package in that muck away allowance. So you can see on the tool here, for this particular project, it is capped at 2007 cubic meters because that is the amount of soil that's being generated through the excavation on this project. Then we move on to the last step, the additions, okay? And this is where we put in our final pieces of information. If you, as the groundworks contractor, are responsible for the design fee, you can input it here. You then also have the ability to price up your fence post sockets, your coping adhesive, and any membranes that may be required for a concrete backfill, of course, along with inputting the costs for that on a unit basis. And finally, if you are individually responsible for the edge protection of the scaffolding, you have the ability to include that as well. We have tried to account for anything or everything that you could need to account for within your Secura retaining wall package. And of course, if you don't need to worry about the design fee or the edge protection, you can just put in 0 cost and not worry about it. But at this point, we are now complete. And all we simply do is click calculate my cost. Once you click calculate my cost, we come to this final page here where it will identify for you what your estimated cost for the package will be. In this particular instance, it's £521,177.43. At this point, it gives you the ability to add a profit margin, and the box when you use it will be completely blank. The margins are entirely up to you what you work to. For example, if I put a 10% margin on, it will dynamically change the sell price and it will show you that at 10% you'd be selling this package at £573,295 and you'd be making £52,000. Alternatively, if I make that 20%, the sell price would be £625,000 and you'd be making £104,000 profit. So you as a groundworks contractor now have the ability to manipulate your costs or your overhead and profit margins and work out exactly what your sell price would be to your contractor. The last few options here for you then in the tool will be the ability to download a cost breakdown. This will generate for you a very professional looking PDF of a bill of quants for you to save on file to understand the exact price point of your project. When you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see your total estimated cost. Alternatively, you might be working for a house builder at feasibility stage, and so you might not want to go through the effort of transferring all this information into your own format, into your own templates. And so we give you the option also to download a client version. When you download a client version, it will remove all of the sensitive information and all of the unit costs, and of course at the bottom, it will just have your total estimated cost that you're selling it for. So it gives you the ability to generate a version that you want to submit to your customer, removing one final piece of work that you may be required to do. So that realistically is the overview then of the tender calculator. And By integrating with Tobermore's services and resources, you can very quickly and very accurately price up your Secura retaining wall packages within 5 minutes. It really is as quick and as simple as that. The tool also gives you the ability to take these bill of quants and turn them landscape if you wish to have them in a different format. And you also have the ability to start your next project from a project you've already started on the system. And when you do that, it will drag through some of the information from your starting point. So once you've done one, the second time you go to use it, it's even faster because it pulls through your aggregate costs and your labor fees. So using it once will take you 5 minutes, and then when you use it the second time, it might only take you 3. So it gets faster the more you use this tool. The Secura Portal is designed to help groundworks contractors maximize profits and be able to pass on savings to their developers versus traditional retaining wall solutions. So head over to our website, register for free, and get started on your project straight away.